There is a burning jewel in the middle of the cold universe, where the light does not come from the sun, but from the breath of fire itself. Cancri, the planet shines like a giant diamond, reflecting the golden light of its parent star, shimmering like the heart of eternity. But behind that beauty is the relentless fade, where the rock flows into lava, where everything dissolves in silence, like a dream that burns itself to see the light. There is no wind, no sound, only the deep void that sucks in a lonely world that revolves around its own fire. If the diamond had a soul, would it know it was shining in solitude? Close your eyes slightly and let me lull you through the journey of that burning jewel, where the universe does not speak, but still breathes with us. There is a world where light never sleeps, a planet so bright that the darkness around it folds away as if the night itself cannot bear to look. Its name drifts softly through the silence. Between stars, Cancri, from 40 light years away, its glow trembles like a candle in the endless wind of space, steady yet fragile, alive. In the quiet, Cancri circles a pale gold sun held close enough for its surface to burn every moment. The light there is not gentle. It falls like a storm, flooding everything in white fire. The planet turns slowly, but not enough to escape. One half forever faces its star, a sea of molten stone that gleams like polished glass. The other half hides in permanent night, a place where heat dies into silence. Between them lies a thin horizon, a twilight line where the two extremes meet but never blend. If you could stand on that border, you would see two worlds at once. Ahead of you, the horizon blazes. Behind you, darkness stretches without sound. The ground beneath your feet would shimmer and shift the rock, glowing with internal fire. No wind would move, no ocean would rise, only the slow convulsion of stone breathing heat into the still air. The light reflected from that surface is not ordinary light. It scatters through layers of compressed carbon, glinting like countless buried crystals. To distant eyes, the entire world appears to shimmer, a diamond the size of a planet, spinning in slow agony. Each flash of brightness is a fragment of its surface catching the sun and returning it to space. For a moment, it outshines everything around it. Then it fades again, swallowed by distance. Temperatures there reach beyond what language can hold enough to melt metal, enough to turn rock into rivers. The landscape is alive with motion, yet nothing truly changes. Lava flows, cools, and flows again. The same ridges melt and rebuild. The planet repeats its own heartbeat of destruction and renewal. Every eruption is silent. There is no air to carry the sound, only the vibration through solid ground and the steady rhythm of a world enduring its own fire. Cancri's light does not flicker, it throbs. Seen from afar, it looks calm, but closer, it seethes with energy. The surface is not smooth, not tranquil. It ripples with heat, like a mirror made of flame. In every reflection, the golden star above quivers, distorted by the restless ground below. Nothing here is still. Even silence moves. At its heart lies pressure so great that carbon itself changes form. What begins as graphite deep below transforms into crystal layers upon layers of diamond, locked beneath molten seas. The planet is heavy with brilliance, built from the same element that on other worlds becomes life. Here it becomes permanence, beauty born of compression, not breath. The star that feeds it never rests. From the distance of space, you can almost see the relationship between them, one giving, one enduring. The star flares, the planet glows. Light travels outward, strikes its surface, and scatters in every direction, a dance of heat and reflection that has continued for billions of years. There is no mercy in this connection, but there is rhythm, and in rhythm, there is grace. Look closer, and the planet reveals its scars. The illuminated side is cracked like a broken mirror, each fissure glowing red at the edges. Farther toward the shadowed hemisphere, the glow softens into dim embers. Beyond that, nothing, only black rock frozen beneath a sky that never brightens. This contrast defines Cancri, half fire, half stone, half endless day, half absolute night. No cloud crosses its sky, no water softens its edges. The atmosphere is a thin veil of vaporized minerals, drifting and falling again in glittering arcs. To the naked eye, it would appear as a haze of light dust that never settles, suspended by the planet's heat. Every particle reflects the sun like a spark trapped in midair. From a telescope's view, Cancri E flickers as it moves around its star. The pattern of that flicker tells us where the fire burns brightest, where the heat hides, where the crust glows. The planet speaks in brightness, not in words. Every rise in its light is a message from its surface: I am still here. There is a serenity in this violence. Nothing living walks there yet. The world seems awake, a perfect equilibrium between destruction and endurance. It is the kind of stillness that exists only when everything unnecessary has been burned away. What remains is pure form, carbon heat, and light. In the vast cold beyond Cancri, E is a small reminder that beauty does not need comfort to exist. Its brilliance is born from pressure, its glow from suffering, yet it continues, turning slowly, faithfully around its star, scattering fragments of light into the dark. And so, the first glimpse of the diamond world lingers in the mind, a sphere of molten reflection, both violent and calm, shining where no eye can ever truly see it. It is a paradox made real, a flame carved into crystal, a planet that endures by burning. As our gaze drifts from that brilliance, we begin to wonder how such a thing came to be. What force gathered the dust, crushed it, and forged it into a gem large enough to light the void? Somewhere in the beginning of all this heat and pressure lies a quieter story, the story of creation itself, when the universe shaped darkness into light and dust into worlds. Before Cancri E began to glow, before its light could pierce the endless night, there was only dust, a silent cloud of ancient remains drifting through darkness. Long ago, a star had lived here, bright and furious. When its heart collapsed, it left behind a ghost, a field of broken particles, carbon scattered like ashes across the void. For a long time, nothing moved. The universe waited. Then slowly, gravity began to gather the lost pieces. It was not an explosion, but a gentle pull, invisible, patient, inevitable. The dust turned circle and began to fall toward itself. What was once chaos started to find rhythm. Every grain of carbon, every whisper of ash joined another, pulled together by a force older than memory. The cloud thickened. The airless dark grew heavy. Within it, pressure built, not suddenly, but with the slow determination of time itself. In that pressure, heat awoke. The fragments rubbed, compressed, and began to glow faintly. The first light of Cancri A did not burst forth. It shimmered hesitant and pale, like the first breath after sleep. Around it, the remnants of ancient stars circled like ghosts, returning home. Slowly, the glowing heart expanded, drawing in more matter, layer upon layer, until dust became stone, and stone became the seed of a world. The carbon deep within began to change. What was once soft became dense. What was once dust began to shine. Every turn of pressure carved the element tighter, folding it into crystal lattices invisible to any eye. There were no flames, no color, only heat and compression, only the soundless work of creation. The process was long too slow to imagine, too vast to witness. But somewhere in that darkness, a planet began to take form, small, bright, heavy, with promise. If we could watch from afar, it would look like a faint ember floating in an ocean of black. Not a planet yet, but something becoming one. A sphere of molten carbon, turning slowly, breathing light into the emptiness. The temperature rose. The glow deepened from dull red to fierce gold. And for the first time, the newborn world cast a reflection into the void. The light was weak, but steady, the first whisper of a diamond beginning to dream. Every part of Cancri A was born from something that had died. The carbon that now gleamed beneath its crust once belonged to stars far greater, long extinguished. Their cores exploded, scattering the ingredients of brilliance across eternity. The universe, vast and quiet, gathered what remained, pressed it together, and began again. There is a kind of grace in that the idea that even what is broken can become something radiant, that endings themselves can shine. The forming planet was restless. Inside, pressure grew fierce. Outside, debris rained down like endless meteor showers, feeding the surface with new material. Impacts carved it, melted it, reshaped it, over and over until the sphere smoothed into balance. Beneath the outer crust, layers of carbon folded upon themselves, each layer older, denser, harder than the last. The planet was learning endurance. There were no skies, then no colors, only the glow of heat rising from its surface. In that glow, one could imagine the shape of mountains beginning to form, though they were not mountains as we know them. They were waves of molten rock, frozen mid-motion, glinting faintly with crystals buried deep within. Cancri was both fragile and eternal, soft as ash, hard as diamond. It had no atmosphere, no water, no sound, and yet it was alive with motion. Eons passed, and what had been chaos settled into rhythm. The planet found its orbit, drawn close to its star, caught in the eternal dance of fire and gravity. The dust that once drifted aimlessly had become a world of stone and light. It no longer drifted, it turned. It no longer scattered, it held. And as the world solidified, its hidden heart grew heavier, hotter, clearer. Deep beneath the crust, carbon fused into perfect order, atoms pressed together so tightly that light could barely escape. The core began to gleam unseen, like a buried gem. The surface above remained a sea of fire, but within the crystal world was quietly forming. There were no witnesses, only the patient silence of time. In the slow rhythm of creation, Cancri A became something rare, a world sculpted not by life, but by endurance. It had no oceans to soften its scars, no wind to erase its heat. Yet within its dense body, the same carbon that forms breath and thought elsewhere in the universe was becoming diamond. What is fragile on one world became eternal on another. There is something humbling about this, to think that beauty can form without intention, without design. No hand shaped this planet, no will guided it. Only gravity, pressure, and time, the quiet artists of the cosmos. No one made it, the whisper of creation might say. Only the fire and the waiting. From that waiting came brilliance. From ruin, order. from ash the beginning of something unbreakable. The light that now reaches us from Cancri A carries that history in silence, a record written not in words, but in glow. Every photon tells the same story. What was once dust is now diamond. If you could hold that light, it would feel warm, not like a flame, but like memory itself. It carries the trace of stars long gone, the weight of time compressed into shimmer. It reminds us that the universe does not forget what it destroys. It transforms. Nothing ever truly ends. Everything becomes something else. And now, Cancri E turns in its orbit, steady and brilliant, a planet born from the patience of the void. Its surface burns its core, gleams its story, continues a gem adrift in the sea of night, still glowing from the fires that made it. As we drift away from the memory of its birth, we begin to see what it has become. The surface that once boiled with creation now burns with permanence. Rivers of molten carbon, mountains of shimmering stone. The world has found its form, and within that form, its rhythm. And so, our journey deepens from the birth of the gem to its living fire. Beneath the molten glow lies the truth of its endurance, the story of a world that breathes through heat and silence. Beneath the glow of Cancri, a silence has weight. It presses softly, wrapping everything in a warmth that feels endless. Down below, where light can no longer reach, there is a heart made of dark carbon, quiet, unmoving, strong as thought itself. It holds the world together, steady beneath the sea of fire that rests above. The surface is different. It never sleeps. It glows like a living ocean, made not of water, but of stone melted into gold. Rivers of liquid rock move slowly, folding into themselves, then breaking apart again. Nothing here stays still. Even the mountains seem to breathe, their edges blurred by heat, their shadows trembling in the shimmering air. Between the calm heart and the restless surface lies the world's rhythm, deep, slow, unending. The two are opposites, yet they belong to each other. The core, dark and still, keeps its secrets. The crust, bright and wild, gives those secrets light. Together, they create a balance as fragile as it is eternal. If you could stand there just for a moment, you would see no sky, no wind, no color as you know it. Only light, light that does not shine, but flows. It clings to every curve, every rise of molten ground. The heat would shimmer through the air like breath, and the glow beneath your feet would make the horizon pulse softly, as if the planet itself were alive, and maybe in its own way it is. Every ripple of fire, every slow surge of heat feels like a heartbeat, too large for sound. From the outside, it looks peaceful, but within that peace, there is motion, constant, deliberate, beautiful. The planet changes without ever really changing. The fire burns, the core holds, and together they endure the endless touch of their star. The light from above does not fall gently. It floods like a tide of gold, washing over the surface. Stones melt, then cool, then melt again in a rhythm older than time. The world does not resist. It accepts. In its acceptance lies a strange serenity, a grace that comes not from stillness, but from surrender. Cancri E is a contradiction, but a quiet one. Its heart is a place where everything is pressed so tightly that movement becomes memory. Its surface is a place where movement never stops long enough to be remembered. Yet somehow both speak the same language, the language of endurance. When seen from afar, the planet glows softly, not fierce or blinding, but deep, like a lantern seen through mist. Its light flickers, with the pulse of heat beneath it. Each shimmer that escapes into the void carries the story of that balance, the strength below, the burning above. If you could look closer, you would see that the brightness is never the same. It breathes, one moment golden, the next crimson, then fading into soft amber. It is not fire as we know it. It is gentler, patient, constant. A warmth that belongs to no one, that burns for no reason other than to exist. Inside, the dark heart remains untouched by all this movement. It is pure, calm, dense, and absolute. The carbon there has hardened beyond imagination, forming layers that seem to hum without sound. No flame can reach it, no star can touch it. It is the quiet soul of the planet, the part that endures when everything else burns away. Sometimes the heat from above presses too hard, and a tremor moves through the crust. The planet shivers, the molten rivers surge, and then stillness again. It is as if Cancri exhales a slow breath of fire into the empty dark. Even in that motion, there is peace. Nothing here fights to survive. It simply continues. There is beauty in such surrender, a beauty that does not ask to be seen. The fire burns, whether or not anyone is watching. The core glows in silence, unseen, unknown. And yet both exist in perfect accord, two halves of the same thought, written in heat and darkness. Cancri-E's world is not cruel, only honest. It shows what creation truly means, that to exist is to burn, and to endure is to shine. The planet does not resist the light that scorches it. It becomes part of it. Its outer shell, molten and radiant, is not a wound, but a mirror reflecting its own transformation again and again. From space it looks eternal, a small glowing bead of light circling its star, steady as a heartbeat. But eternity is an illusion. It is built on constant motion, constant change. The fire rises, the surface melts, the heart holds. This is how the diamond world survives, not by remaining the same, but by never stopping. If you listen closely, you might feel the rhythm of its silence, the hum of a planet that endures not in defiance but in grace. There is no chaos here, no rage, only patience, the patience of stone that knows it will never cool of light, that knows it will never rest. And so the planet turns beneath its sun, glowing softly in its own solitude. Its beauty is quiet, but it reaches far. Each flicker that escapes its surface drifts across the void, a whisper of warmth in the cold. The universe receives it and keeps it and sends it onward, a message without words. I am here. I am still burning. At the edge of this light, the world begins to change again. The glow of the surface fades into shadow, where the fire no longer touches. It is here between the endless day and the eternal night that the next secret waits, the thin horizon where two worlds meet but never blend. And so we drift toward that boundary where fire becomes darkness and darkness begins to glow. Cancri turns in silence, always showing one side to its star. Half of it burns in endless daylight. The other half sleeps in eternal dark. Between them lies no sunrise, no sunset, only a thin horizon where the fire fades and the night begins. On the bright side, the surface flows like liquid gold. Mountains melt and reform in a slow rhythm, their edges shimmering beneath waves of heat. The air, what little there is, quivers with light. It's a place without shadow, where the ground itself seems to breathe with the pulse of its star. Every moment is brightness, every second a heartbeat of flame. Across the planet's curve, The light falters, the glow fades until the color drains away. Here the world cools into stillness. Rocks lie sharp and frozen, untouched by warmth, untouched by time. The darkness is not cruel. It is gentle, soft as velvet. It holds everything in quiet, like a breath that never leaves. The border between these two halves is fragile, a line where light and silence meet but never blend. Heat stretches toward the darkness, while the dark reaches back with calm. For a moment, they touch, and that thin meeting place shimmers like a sigh. It is the only softness on this world of extremes, the one place where fire becomes gold and shadow glows faintly blue. Time here does not move as it does elsewhere. There are no hours to count, no passing seasons. The burning side never cools. The frozen side never warms. The planet lives inside one unending breath, inhaling light, exhaling silence. Every rotation repeats what has always been brightness, without mercy, darkness without end. Seen from afar, the planet looks whole, a perfect gem of contrast. One half gleams with molten brilliance, the other absorbs every trace of light. Together, they form a single balanced beauty, like two notes held in harmony. They are opposites, yet inseparable. One cannot exist without the other. The bright side glows fiercely, sending ribbons of gold into space. Those faint threads drift across the void and spill gently over the dark side, painting its surface with the thinnest hint of warmth. For a moment, the frozen stone glints, then fades again into silence. It's a fragile exchange, a conversation between day and night that never ends, though neither side ever moves closer. This quiet duality is the soul of Cancri. Its fire does not rage, and its darkness does not despair. Both are steady, patient, eternal. The light does what light must it burns. The dark does what dark must it rests. The world turns caught between the two, a perfect symmetry of opposites that will never touch. Even the star that binds it seems to understand. Its light never falters, its pull never weakens. Together, star and planet move through the dark, their relationship written in heat and silence. There is no cruelty in this bond, only inevitability, a slow, graceful exchange between giver and receiver. The illuminated side gleams like molten glass, reshaping itself in every breath of light. The hidden side remains untouched, its stillness carrying a strange comfort, a reminder that not all beauty must be seen. Each face is honest in its own way. One wears brilliance, the other wears peace. Together, they keep the planet whole. Along the twilight belt, the air flickers with faint color. Here the light softens as it bends across the horizon, meeting the dark in a golden blur. It is neither day nor night, but something in between, a moment that seems to stretch forever, a quiet pulse of balance. The surface here glows dimly, neither hot nor cold, and the silence feels alive, almost listening. This narrow place is where the world breathes. It is where the heartbeat of Cancri can be felt most clearly, a steady rhythm between the burning and the frozen. The glow here is tender, unlike the fierce light of the dayside. It moves slowly, curling like smoke, gentle as thought. Every world has its secrets, and this is Cancri, two faces, one soul. It carries both agony and calm, bound together by the same thread of gravity, turning endlessly around its golden star. In the endless rotation, nothing truly changes, yet nothing is ever still. The planet's story is not one of motion, but of balance, of what it means to exist between two eternities. From the distance of space, the planet's glow flickers across time. The bright half reflects its star's light, the dark half keeps it. What escapes from that burning surface travels outward like a memory crossing light years to reach us. Through a telescope, the flicker appears faint, rhythmic, as though the planet itself is breathing. That light carries both faces, at once the warmth of the flame and the calm of the dark. It reminds us that beauty can live in opposites, that silence and fire can share the same heartbeat. Cancri E is proof that not everything divided is broken. Some things are simply whole, in two ways at once. The planet turns slow and unhurried, bathed in both brilliance and stillness. The line between day and night remains fixed yet alive, glowing faintly, pulsing softly, as though the horizon itself remembers. From that delicate edge, light begins to scatter outward. Tiny reflections shimmer like drops of glass suspended in air. The glow travels upward, drifting beyond the surface, breaking apart into countless particles of brilliance. The fire of one side reaches toward the stars, and in doing so, it creates a new kind of light, one that belongs to neither day nor night. The light around Cancri A does not simply shine, it dances. It drifts across the molten plains, gliding over rivers of gold, scattering into 1,000 quiet reflections. Each ripple on the surface catches the radiance of its star and sends it back into the dark, as if the planet were wrapped in a sea of living diamonds. There is no single source of brightness here. The light comes from everywhere and nowhere. It moves like breath rising, fading, returning again. From far away, the planet appears to shimmer rather than glow. Its light wavers gently, like the pulse of something alive, but tired, soft, yet unbroken. The glow does not have edges. It spills into the void, melting into the dark that surrounds it. To see Cancri E from the emptiness beyond is to witness contrast undone brightness without shadow, a world that refuses to leave space for darkness to rest. Every spark that leaves its surface carries a piece of the planet's being, as though fragments of its heart have become dust made of light. These glimmers drift outward, slow and endless, circling the planet like faint halos. They are too soft to be called reflections, too alive to be called echoes. Each one moves with grace, lingering for a heartbeat before dissolving into the emptiness. The star that burns above it watches with steady warmth, its light falling like rain. The surface below mirrors every drop, scattering the golden glow until even the void seems to breathe with color. There are moments when the brightness is so complete that the boundaries of the planet blur. It no longer seems to exist as a sphere of matter, but as a shimmer suspended in space, a dream pretending to be real. The fire within the crust feeds this radiance, pushing warmth outward until it becomes pure illumination. The planet does not shine to be seen. It shines because it cannot help it. Its glow is instinct, not display a steady, quiet pulse that asks for nothing and gives everything. In this constant act of giving, Cancri E becomes a paradox, a world that burns and yet feels peaceful, that fills the dark and yet remains profoundly alone. For around it, there is nothing, no companions, no moons, no voices. The light it sends into space finds no surface to touch, no other world to answer back. It travels outward uninterrupted until distance swallows it whole. The planet is surrounded by its own reflection, yet untouched by it. Even brightness, when endless can become silence. The darkness beyond is deep and patient. It stretches without shape, without sound. Against it, Cancri E glows all the more, a single note in an infinite song. The contrast is beautiful, but heavy, a reminder that even light has weight when there is no one to share it. The planet shines so completely that it becomes its own solitude. There is no nightfall here, no rest for the glow. It continues steady, as breathing, eternal as orbit. The brilliance softens and hardens in cycles too long for counting, but it never stops. The world is a mirror that never closes its eyes, reflecting its star endlessly faithfully with the devotion of something that knows no other purpose. At times, the light grows gentler, like a whisper at the edge of sleep. The molten rivers below slow their motion, their surfaces smoothing until they resemble glass. The reflections calm their flicker soft and warm, the kind of warmth that feels almost human, quiet, enveloping, tender. The brightness no longer burns, it soothes. The planet glows like a lantern left for those lost in the dark. But brightness, when it lasts too long, turns to ache. The longer Cancri egg glows, the more it seems to fold inward, as though the light were pressing against itself. There is a kind of loneliness in such perfection, an echo that grows louder the longer it goes unanswered. The radiance fills every corner, every crevice, leaving no place for mystery to hide. And so, in its brilliance, the planet begins to long for shadow, for the soft relief of absence. Yet the universe offers no such mercy. The darkness remains distant, the fire remains constant. The planet continues to turn bound to its endless reflection. It gives light to the void, and the void gives silence in return. This is the balance Cancri E keeps, not harmony, but endurance. Its solitude is its beauty. Sometimes, when the light bends just right, faint arcs shimmer above the surface, not rainbows, but soft curtains of reflection, thin as breath. They linger for moments and fade again, leaving nothing but memory. The planet seems to sigh beneath them, its glow rippling as though stirred by invisible wind. It is not a world of storms, yet it carries the feeling of one quiet and eternal, the storm of something that cannot stop shining. From a distance, it is a gem adrift in the dark sea. Up close, it is motion, disguised as stillness, a trembling equilibrium of heat and calm, of giving and losing. The fire beneath pushes upward, the star above pours downward, and in between those two streams of light, the planet floats caught forever in the exchange between what is given and what is gone. The longer one watches, the harder it becomes to tell where the planet ends and the reflection begins. The glow has no outline, no anchor. It seems to breathe with the rhythm of space itself. Each flicker, each shimmer, feels like a heartbeat too far away to hear. This is the light without shadow, the kind that does not illuminate, but simply is. It does not reveal shapes. It dissolves them. It does not fight the dark. It becomes part of it. Through its brilliance, the universe looks back at itself, finding beauty not in what can be seen, but in what continues to shine, even when unseen. And so, Cancri E glows, surrounded by its own silence, a jewel burning quietly in an ocean of nothing. The stars around it remain distant, their own light, cold and far. Only the golden warmth of its star touches it still, and the planet answers with its endless reflection, a conversation carried out entirely in radiance. As the planet turns, the fire beneath grows restless once more. The molten seas stir waves of light, rise higher, and the airless void above shivers with heat. The reflections twist, stretching like threads of silk across the dark. The brightness trembles, thickens, then bursts, scattering its glow into tiny sparks that drift upward, shimmering like falling dust made of sunlight. And from those drifting sparks, something begins to take form, a storm of light rising into the empty sky, a rain that glows instead of falls. In the wide stillness of space, Cancri burns softly, a golden star calm and patient, its light spreading like breath across the darkness. Around it moves the diamond planet, bound not by chains, but by an invisible thread of fire. The two are inseparable. One gives, the other endures. Between them flows a silent rhythm, the heartbeat of a parent and the pulse of its child. The light that leaves Cancri is not harsh. It falls in slow waves, a steady warmth that crosses millions of kilometers before it finds the face of Cancri A. There it touches the molten seas and sets them trembling. Each spark of that light becomes a new ripple of fire, a new shimmer on the surface. The planet glows, not with its own energy, but with borrowed life, the reflection of its star's breath. The bond between them is delicate but unbreakable. The star holds the planet close, almost too close, cradling it in light that both nourishes and consumes. Each day, if such a word could exist here, the same exchange unfolds. The star sends warmth, and the planet responds with radiance. The star gives life, and the planet returns beauty. Yet in that devotion lies a quiet cruelty, for the gift is also a wound. What feeds the planet is the very thing that keeps it burning. From afar, their dance appears peaceful, a golden point encircled by a glowing ember. But within that stillness is tension, a pull that never loosens, a hunger that never fades. The star draws the planet near with gravity's silent hand, and the planet obeys forever, leaning toward the light that hurts it. This is their harmony, one endless gesture of giving and taking, of warmth and surrender. The light of Cancri A carries a color unlike any other, pale gold, soft as dust in morning air. It spreads through the void like a whisper, filling the empty space with something gentle, something alive. The glow does not fade quickly. It lingers as if reluctant to leave. When it reaches the planet, the surface brightens in answer, and the two seem to breathe together, the star exhaling, the planet inhaling. Sometimes the star flares brighter, and the planet quivers in its orbit. The molten surface ripples with light reflections, twisting into waves that shimmer and fall. In those moments, the connection between them feels almost audible, like the low hum of a string drawn too tight. Then as the flare softens, the light returns to its slow pulse, and the silence settles once more. There is no sound in their relationship, yet there is music. The rhythm of heat and orbit of light and reflection composes a melody too slow for the ear to catch. It is not a song made of notes, but of patience. The universe listens without listening, letting the harmony drift through its endless corridors. For Cancri E, the star is everything sky, sun, and heartbeat. Its golden light is the first and last thing the planet ever knows. The side that faces it never sees darkness. There the glow is constant and the heat eternal. It is a love that consumes. Yet even as the fire devours the surface, something within the planet holds steady, the core that remains unmoved, the dark heart that absorbs the star's fury and turns it into light. In this way, the two sustain each other, The star burns and sends its warmth. The planet receives and mirrors it back, scattering it across the void like gentle sparks. The reflection is faint compared to the source, but it carries a kind of quiet grace, small light that travels far, carrying the memory of the bond that created it. Sometimes the space between them shimmers thin as silk. The line of heat bends, shifting with invisible motion. The planet, tiny beside its star, gleams like a tear caught in sunlight. Their connection is invisible, but present in everything, in the pull that never ends, in the glow that never rests, in the endless repetition of warmth and distance. The star watches without eyes, and the planet answers without words. They do not speak, yet they understand. Their dialogue is written in motion, the steady turn of orbit, the quiet offering of light. Around them, the darkness hums with acceptance, as if even the void has learned their rhythm. The warmth that flows from Cancri does not reach forever. It fades into silence, long before it can touch another world. But what remains, the faint shimmer left behind, is enough to keep Cancri alive in its own way. This is not the warmth of comfort, but of endurance. It does not soothe, it sustains. The planet continues to turn, held steady by the pull of its star, glowing with the borrowed gold of its creator. In that endless motion, there is something deeply tender. The star, vast and radiant, does not ask to be thanked. The planet, small and burning, does not ask to be spared. They exist together in the simplest truth. The universe knows that all light is both gift and burden. What gives life also takes it away. And so the golden sun beats its rhythm, slow, steady, eternal. Each pulse travels outward as warmth, each echo returns as reflection. Between them lies trust, or perhaps just inevitability. It is hard to tell the difference in a universe built on both. When the light softens again, the planet glows quieter. The molten waves rest, and the horizon gleams like amber frozen in air. The connection between star and planet holds firm, but the light begins to change. It bends, shimmers, and scatters into the emptiness, forming a faint, glittering veil. It is no longer just warmth. It has become something delicate, something almost alive, and within that veil, something begins to move, a shimmer of gold turning into motion, the first signs of a storm made of light itself, rising gently from the edge of the world. Beneath the quiet glow of the star, Cancri moves in silence. Yet inside that silence, there is motion, slow, steady, endless. The planet's surface is alive with molten rivers that twist and shimmer like veins of light. They rise from deep beneath the crust, carrying heat from the heart of the world to its skin. The flow is neither violent nor wild. It moves with the patience of time itself, a tide of glowing stone that never stops breathing. Each river glows with a color between gold and crimson, soft at its edges, bright at its center. The liquid rock glides over blackened ground, folding into waves, then breaking apart again. It looks almost gentle, a fluid mirror that trembles as it moves. From a distance, the surface shimmers like molten glass. The light scatters across every curve, filling the airless void above with flickers of orange and amber, like reflections caught in invisible water. There is no wind here to cool it, no air to carry heat away. The motion continues endlessly, unchallenged. Each current of lava follows the next, flowing back toward the same cracks, the same scars. The landscape shifts and renews itself with every cycle, as if the planet were smoothing its own surface, polishing itself in light. If one could see closely, the rhythm of these rivers would feel almost human, the slow pulse of something alive. Beneath every wave of fire, there is a heartbeat, the deep throb of pressure, rising and falling like breath beneath skin. The planet does not rest. It exhales through flame, inhales through stone. Every ripple of heat is a whisper from its core, every shimmer a fragment of its endurance. The ground glows softly, even where the rivers do not reach. The crust is thin here, translucent with heat. Beneath it, the molten flow continues unseen, threading through cracks and chambers like a web of light. The whole world is alive with movement, not frantic, but certain. It is the quiet certainty of fire, the calm persistence of something that has burned for longer than memory. Above this glowing surface, the starlight deepens the color. Gold turns to red, to a deep, shimmering copper. The brightness is almost tender, as though the light were touching the planet with care. The molten rivers answer in kind, reflecting the warmth back, and for a moment, the two lights one from the star one, from the planet blend into a single hue, warm and endless. This is the heartbeat of Cancri E, not a sound, not a beat of flesh, but a rhythm felt through light. The planet lives through the motion of its fire. It has no oceans, no air, no clouds to carry its pulse. Instead, it breathes through the shimmering waves of molten stone. In this slow dance between pressure and release, the planet finds its balance fragile, eternal, and strangely peaceful. Sometimes when the flow slows, the surface cools just enough to form a thin crust of glass. It glints in the light of the star, smooth and dark as obsidian. For a while the fire hides beneath it like an ember beneath ash. But soon the heat below stirs again, cracking the crust, spilling light back into the open. The glass breaks, the rivers rise, and the cycle begins anew. There is no beginning, no end, only motion. The light from these rivers escapes into space, faint and steady, painting the nearby darkness with subtle warmth. It is not the harsh glare of a burning world, but a soft luminescence, the kind of light that feels alive, like the last glow of a candle held between two breaths. Through that glow, the planet speaks its quiet truth, that even destruction can be gentle. Even fire can be calm. In the golden glow, shadows try to exist, but cannot hold. Every ridge and valley shines, every detail softened by the constant shimmer. The surface looks smooth from afar, but up close, it ripples like a liquid mirror. The light bends with the flow, playing across the molten fields in patterns that never repeat. There is no chaos here, only fluid grace, the perfection of motion that never hurries, never stops. The rivers themselves carry something sacred, a memory of the planet's origin, a remnant of the fire that forged it. They are not just heat, they are history. Every stream of molten carbon that rolls across the surface is a continuation of that first flame, the one that gave the planet its life. To watch them move is to see time itself flowing, reshaping, remembering. In the distance, where the brightness fades into shadow, the rivers seem to vanish into the horizon. But even there, their warmth lingers. The glow spreads softly across the darkness until even the night side of the planet seems to hum faintly with heat. It is a quiet proof that nothing truly disappears, light only changes shape. The heartbeat of Cancri A is steady, unchanging, patient. It does not rush or falter. Each rise of heat, each fall of light is a note in a song too vast to hear. The universe listens in silence, letting the rhythm echo outward until it fades into the void. And somewhere beyond the reach of sound, the planet continues its quiet work, turning fire into light and light into calm. Sometimes the molten rivers erupt into something more. The heat gathers pressure, builds, and for a moment the fire leaps skyward. Sparks of liquid light scatter into the empty space above, shimmering like tiny stars, born and gone in an instant. They rise, linger, and fall back again, raining down across the glowing plains. The rivers catch them, swallow them, and continue their flow. It is as though the planet were exhaling light itself. Each time it happens, the glow becomes softer afterward, as if the world has sighed, releasing its tension back into the stars. The molten fields settle, the surface smooths, and the heartbeat slows again. The planet returns to its endless rhythm, quiet and luminous. There are moments on Cancri when the silence trembles, not from sound, but from light. Deep beneath the molten rivers, heat gathers until it can no longer hide. Then in one slow, graceful motion, it rises. The surface swells, breathes, and releases. From the cracks and glowing ridges, threads of brilliance lift into the air, scattering in every direction. They are not flames, not sparks, but tiny fragments of radiance, small as dust, bright as stars. They drift upward like sighs. The airless sky fills with glimmers that move too slowly, to fall too softly, to fly. Each particle catches the golden light of the star and breaks it into colors, unseen, silvers, ambers, faint blues that flicker for only a heartbeat before melting back into gold. It is not a storm, not an explosion. It is a release, a quiet surrender of light from a world that has burned too long. For a while, everything glows. The horizon becomes a curtain of shimmering haze. The molten plains below turn translucent, their heat reflected in every falling spark. Each droplet of light descends like a whisper, slow and weightless, tracing invisible paths through the empty air. The sight is so still, it feels unreal, a gentle rain that burns without flame, falls without sound, ends without loss. The brightness deepens as the rain continues. Some of the light lingers in the upper air, forming thin clouds of glow that hover above the surface. They drift and pulse, changing shape like breath made visible. Others fall back toward the ground, touching the molten seas and vanishing instantly, absorbed again into the planet's endless rhythm. Each touch leaves a ripple, a soft wave of brightness spreading across the glass-like surface. It is as if the planet were breathing light, exhaling it into the void, inhaling it back again. The star above watches its pale gold glow washing over everything. For a brief moment, it seems as though the star and planet are one, the giver and the mirror, the fire and the echo. The light of the star feeds the rain, and the rain returns, the light scattering it outward in every direction. The darkness around them fades, replaced by a warm golden haze that stretches across the sky. Even the void seems to shimmer, as if the universe itself were blinking in wonder. Time slows during this dance. There is no measure for it, no beginning or end. The rain rises and falls in cycles too soft to name. Every droplet glows for an instant, each one a tiny, fleeting world of its own born. in fire suspended in peace, gone before it can fade. It is a beauty that does not demand to last. Its perfection lies in its vanishing. Beneath the glow, the molten surface moves like an ocean of mirrors. Each falling spark meets its reflection, two lights touching for the briefest second before becoming one. The heat blurs the horizon, making it impossible to tell where the planet ends and the air begins. Everything blends into a single shimmer, ground skylight and silence. There is no separation, only glow. The rain of light softens the harshness of the world. For a while the burning becomes tender. The molten plains cool at their edges, their brightness dimming into rose and amber. The planet looks gentler now, as though exhaustion has turned its fire into calm. The rivers of lava slow their movement steady and measured like a heartbeat, easing into rest. Even the reflections that reach into space become softer, warmer, more human. In this stillness, the planet seems to sigh. The light drifts more slowly now, the rain thinning to a few scattered sparks. Each one falls alone, glowing against the darkness, before being swallowed by it. The sky clears, and the golden haze fades into quiet. What remains is a faint shimmer hovering just above the ground, a memory of brilliance that refuses to disappear completely. For a long moment, the world is silent again. The light has fallen. The surface still glows, but more softly now, like embers at the end of a long fire. The air above ripples faintly, holding the warmth of what has just passed. And though the rain is gone, the feeling remains that fragile, infinite beauty of something too brief to capture. Cancri continues to turn beneath its star, its glow now deeper, quieter. The surface breathes in a slower rhythm, as if tired from its own display. The heat has not left. It has simply found balance again. In the faint light that still drifts upward, one can almost sense the planet's calm, the peace that follows after the blaze. The universe feels this too. The stars nearby seem dimmer, for a moment as though, in reverence, even the void listens, holding its breath. There is something sacred in the way this world glows, not with noise or violence, but with stillness. The beauty of Cancri does not demand to be seen. It asks only to be felt in the pause between light and dark, in the moment when the last spark fades. Soon the molten rivers begin to move again, the glow returning to its steady pulse. The rain is over, but the rhythm remains. Deep below, the planet stirs a slow heartbeat, echoing through layers of stone and light. The silence above feels different now, softer, as if touched by the memory of falling stars. And from that silence, the warmth rises again. The surface begins to shimmer, anew though gentler than before. It is not another storm, not yet only the promise of one. The fire is gathering its breath, drawing in light for the next release. The planet glows as though remembering, as though waiting for the rhythm to begin again. Everything on Cancri begins and ends with carbon. It lies beneath every layer, within every shimmer, in every breath of light that rises from its molten seas. Carbon, the quiet architect of all that lives, the foundation of warmth, the writer of form. On this world, though, it is not a giver of life, but the keeper of fire. What gives birth elsewhere burns here. What softens and connects in other worlds hardens and consumes in this one. Beneath the shining crust, carbon folds into itself deeper and denser with every passing cycle. It tightens layer upon layer until it becomes something no longer soft, no longer alive, crystallized, eternal, perfect in its stillness. The same element that flows through human veins as breath and thought here becomes silence, hardness, permanence. The same element that allows us to exist is what keeps this world burning. There is a strange poetry in that the symmetry of creation and destruction, bound by the same essence. On Earth, carbon takes shape in the softness of living things, weaving the fragile tapestry of life. Here it builds cathedrals of fire and stone, transforming light into structure, heat into rhythm. Both worlds are written in the same language, only spoken differently. When the molten rivers rise, they carry that ancient element upward, glowing with its golden memory. The carbon shines through the surface, bending the light of the star into colors deep and warm. It turns pain into beauty, endurance into radiance. Even as it melts, it never loses itself. Even in destruction, it endures. That is the secret of carbon. It is not fragile, it transforms. Each particle, small and invisible, has traveled a journey older than imagination. It was once part of stars of comets, of forgotten dust that drifted through the void. It has burned before, cooled before fallen, and risen countless times. Here on Cancri E, it has finally found its rest, not as dust or ash, but as brilliance made solid. Every spark on this planet is the echo of something that once lived elsewhere, something that once shone, then fell silent. The airless heat above does not know time, but the carbon does. It remembers in its own quiet way what it means to change shape, but not essence. It knows that light can fade and return, that fire can end and begin again. In its lattice of bonds lies the memory of transformation, the eternal truth of matter that never dies, only alters its rhythm. Cancri E glows with that memory. The surface hums with warmth, the glow steady and patient, as if the planet itself were aware of the paradox that shapes it. It burns, yet remains. It is consumed, yet complete. It is both alive and lifeless, a paradox so simple, it feels like wisdom. The star above feeds its flame, endlessly pouring light over the carbon crust. Each ray that strikes the planet is absorbed, scattered, and returned. The exchange continues quiet and constant, a loop of giving and receiving that never breaks. This is how eternity breathes, not through movement, but through repetition. The carbon beneath the surface glows faintly in the dark, carrying the light inward. It travels through veins of stone, like blood through arteries, connecting everything in a silent network of fire. The heat that moves within these layers is not rage, but devotion, the steady pulse of something that has learned to burn without fury. The planet does not fight its own fire. It has accepted it, embraced it, become it. The same could be said of the universe. Everywhere, carbon is both the beginning and the end. It forms the stars that light the sky, the dust that settles. When they die, the bones and breath of those who look upon them. It is the handwriting of existence, one word written again and again in different shapes. Here on Cancri A, it writes in flame. The beauty of this world is not gentle. It is carved from endurance, polished by heat, purified by destruction. It is beauty without apology, born from a truth too old to argue with. What makes life possible elsewhere makes this planet eternal, not alive, not dead, but enduring, glowing, infinite in its own stillness. In the faint gold that spills from its surface, you can almost feel that truth, the quiet message of carbon carried through light. It says that creation and ruin are not enemies, but mirrors. That what makes one world breathe can make another burn. That the same spark that ignites a star can one day rest as dust on the palm of a human hand. And so, the planet turns glowing with quiet wisdom. Every spark that leaves its surface is a prayer written in the language of endurance. The carbon remains patient, eternal soft beneath its hardness. Its fire is not anger, but persistence. Its glow is not hunger, but memory. When the light fades for a moment, when the molten rivers calm, and the surface cools to a deep bronze, the planet feels almost peaceful. The fire hums beneath, the crust unseen, waiting. It is not gone, only resting. Even in darkness, the carbon breathes. Somewhere in that breath lies a lesson that what gives life does not always look alive, that even the hardest forms can carry warmth. The universe has always known this, that its beauty depends on both creation and endurance, that light and fire and silence are all made of the same soul. Cancri drifts on, wrapped in that understanding. Its light spills outward, faint but unwavering. Somewhere in that glow, in that steady heartbeat of carbon, the stars see their own reflection, the same element that once built them, now shimmering quietly below. And as the planet cools for a moment, the surface begins to tremble again. The heat that never ends stirs beneath the crust, pushing upward through cracks, searching for release. The fire gathers in the dark, ready to breathe once more. The stillness is only a pause, the calm before the next rising of light. Deep beneath the glowing crust, far below the molten rivers that shimmer like silk in the dark, Cancri moves in silence. It does not turn quickly or tremble with chaos, it breathes. The breath is not air but motion, slow, ancient, steady. From the heart of a carbon and fire, vibrations rise and fall like the rhythm of sleep. The entire planet seems to pulse, a quiet inhale, a long exhale, repeated endlessly through time. The sound cannot be heard yet. It can be felt, a soft hum that belongs to no element, no sound wave, no wind. It is the voice of pressure, of warmth, folding against itself, of light deepening into stillness. Every few moments the surface quivers, as though remembering that it exists. The glow shifts gently, spreading like the heartbeat of something immense and calm. Inside the planet, beneath layers of diamond and stone, the heat moves with a rhythm that never stops. It expands and contracts, whispering through the cracks, pressing against the unbroken heart of carbon. It is not violence, it is patience, a pattern without beginning or end. The world does not fight its heat. It accepts it, turns it into breath. This is how Cancri lives, not with pulse or thought or need, but with motion. The fire that burns beneath its surface is not destruction, it is continuation. Every wave of heat, every faint tremor that rolls through its crust is an exhalation of time. The planet's breath is not measured in seconds, but in centuries. Each movement carries with it the memory of everything that came before, the stars that birthed it, the dust that shaped it, the pressure that carved its glow. If light could listen, it would hear that rhythm. The golden rays of its star touch the surface and seem to move in harmony, brightening and dimming with each rise of heat. Even the reflections that drift outward, the faint dust of light that escapes into the void, seem to flicker in time with the planet's hidden breath. It is a song without sound, a pulse without body, a heartbeat spread across eternity. The airless space around the world feels heavier when the planet moves. The glow ripples like water, bending the light into waves that shimmer across the black. From afar, it might look like the world is trembling, but it is only breathing, expanding, and returning to itself. There is no urgency in it, no fear. It is the gentlest motion a planet can make, the kind that feels eternal. Every heartbeat of Cancri A begins with fire. The heat at its center grows until it presses outward, and the crust responds, flexing just enough to let the warmth rise. Then it eases, folding back into quiet. This slow rhythm of giving and returning defines everything the planet is, even its beauty. The diamond brilliance, the molten glow, comes from this act of release. Light here is a form of exhalation. When the molten surface quivers, small ripples of brightness spread across it, colliding and blending like the rings of light on still water. The ground is alive, but calm, glowing softly with each pulse, then fading again. Watching it feels like watching someone sleep. The rise, the fall, the silence between. Every pause carries peace. Every movement carries eternity. This breathing does not change the planet. It sustains it. Without it, the crust would break, the rivers would still, the light would vanish. The breath keeps the balance between fire and stone, between expansion and endurance. In that balance, Cancri E finds its form not as chaos, not as decay, but as constancy. There is something deeply tender in this motion, something almost human. The way the planet inhales its own warmth and exhales its own light feels like an act of a remembrance. It does not live as we do, but it continues as if it understands what living means, not to last forever, but to keep moving, to keep glowing, even when alone. The diamond heart beneath the surface is the origin of this rhythm. Pressed tighter than thought, older than memory, it beats without ever moving. Its stillness sends ripples outward, a language of touch that passes through every layer. The crust, the rivers, the mountains of fire all respond. It is a dialogue of silence, the same conversation repeated endlessly since the world began. When the star's light touches it, the rhythm deepens. The warmth of the star stirs the surface, and the planet answers with a soft pulse that travels back through the void, a faint reflection, invisible yet real. In that exchange, a kind of harmony exists. The planet and its star breathe together, each heartbeat mirrored in the other, each moment of stillness shared. It is strange to think of such a world as alive, yet it is impossible not to. Every flicker, every shimmer feels deliberate, as though the planet is aware of its own glow, not in thought, but in essence, in the way a flame knows how to burn, or a tide knows when to rise. There is intelligence in the rhythm of survival, beauty in the act of simply continuing. When the breath slows, the surface cools slightly, the glow softens into bronze, and the reflections in the void grow dim, but the motion never stops. Beneath the calm, the heat gathers again, building quietly. The pause is only the space between heartbeats, the planet resting, gathering strength for its next exhale of light. To watch it is to see eternity practiced in miniature, a repetition so steady it becomes music. The fire below, the stillness above, the rhythm between them, all parts of one single motion, one single truth. Cancri E teaches the universe its lesson through breath, that even the hardest things can move gently, that even in endless pressure, there can be calm. Every vibration that passes through its core is a message that travels farther than light, a soft reminder written into the silence that existence itself is a form of breathing. As the glow brightens once more, the rivers of fire begin to shimmer again, guided by the pulse below. The breath becomes visible now, rippling across the molten surface in waves of gold. The light thickens the airless space above, bending softly with the movement. It feels as though the whole world has exhaled at once, a sigh that drifts across the stars. There is no wind on Cancri, no whisper of air to stir the heat, no current to carry sound. The world is wrapped in silence so complete, it feels like the breath has been taken from the universe itself. The molten rivers flow, but they do not sing. The light shimmers, but it makes no noise. Even the fire seems to move quietly, as though it has learned to respect the stillness it lives within. And yet in this absence of motion, the planet continues. It endures, not as something alive, but as something aware. Its glow does not fade, its warmth does not rest. Each tremor beneath the surface, each ripple of heat that passes through its crust, is proof that even without life, existence can still hum with persistence. The silence here is not emptiness. It is presence of fullness, so vast it becomes calm. Every inch of the planet is heavy with it, the weight of light, of heat, of endurance. The surface glows like a single thought, held forever, unwavering, unbroken. In the quiet, there is no chaos, no conflict, only the endless act of continuing. The fires beneath the diamond crust have long since stopped raging. They do not explode or consume. They simply pulse like distant memory. Their rhythm is steady, their warmth gentle. There is peace in that constancy, a kind of truth too deep for sound. If stillness could have a shape, it would look like this: a world without storms, without breath, without change, yet filled with the hum of something that refuses to end. Cancri A is not asleep, but it rests eyes open, watching the light move across its surface, like time tracing its own reflection. Some would say such a place is lifeless, but perhaps that word is too small. The planet glows with intention, with rhythm, with continuity. Life, after all, does not always need to pulse or speak. Sometimes it only needs to remain. The act of being, of holding one's own light in the dark, can be its own form of life. The star above still watches patient and golden. Its rays fall over the planet like a hand that never lifts. Each touch of light sinks deep into the surface, keeping the fire alive beneath. The two are bound in quiet devotion, the star giving the planet, receiving neither, asking for anything more. At the border between light and shadow, the glow softens. The molten fields cool into amber stillness, the heat beneath them trapped like a dream behind glass. Here stillness becomes visible. It shines faintly, as though remembering the warmth it once held. This is the place where motion slows into rest, where the act of burning becomes the act of simply existing. From this twilight edge, Cancri E feels almost weightless. Its glow stretches thin, spilling into the blackness beyond. The horizon glimmers like a held breath, neither rising nor falling. The planet seems to hover between two states, not alive, not dead, not moving, not still. It is the fragile balance of everything the universe cannot define. Perhaps this is what eternity feels like. Not endless time, but endless calm. No birth, no death, only the soft continuation of light. Cancri, it does not seek change. It has found its equilibrium. Its beauty lies in its patience, in the way it chooses not to fade. The light it gives off is not the brilliance of fire, but the tenderness of endurance. It is a quiet glow, like a lantern burning far away in fog. Each ray that escapes into the dark carries the same message: I am here. I am not gone. Even without breath, even without voice, something remains. And the universe, vast and silent, seems to listen. The nearby stars dim slightly, as if to let this small world speak. Its words are made of heat, and reflection its thoughts of stillness and time. In that silence, something profound unfolds, a reminder that life is not always motion, that to exist quietly can be its own kind of miracle. When the molten light rises again, it does so gently, not as fire, but as memory. The surface glows brighter, then softer, like a sigh made of warmth. The stillness shifts, but it never breaks. Cancri A breathes in its own way, not with lungs, but with light. Each faint shimmer across its face is a slow exhale, a continuation of being. It is strange to think of a diamond breathing, yet here it is a world built from carbon and pressure, glowing from within, alive in its silence. It does not reach outward, it turns inward. Its warmth feeds itself, its motion sustains its calm. The boundary between living and stillness disappears. There is no separation, anymore only glow. The heat beneath continues to hum steady and kind. It no longer seeks escape. It has found its home within the stillness. The planet holds its warmth the way memory holds love quietly, forever. Somewhere far above the star beats its steady rhythm. The light touches the planet again, and the world responds with another shimmer, another breath. Between them stretches the same eternal thread, one giving, one enduring. Their connection is quiet, but unbroken. In that moment, the universe feels softer. The emptiness around them seems less lonely, as though the act of shining is enough to fill it. The line between motion and stillness becomes invisible. The planet's glow becomes the language of balance itself, a reminder that existence does not need to be loud to be alive. And so, Cancri E continues to breathe in silence. Its fires no longer rage. Its rivers no longer rise, but its heart, that unspoken center of heat and diamond, continues to pulse. The planet teaches the cosmos its simplest truth, that persistence is its own kind of life, that light is a form of heartbeat. As the glow deepens, something begins to stir on its surface. The stillness trembles, not with change, but with recognition. The world seems to sense that it is being watched, that somewhere in the vastness beyond, eyes have found its faint light and wondered. For the first time, its reflection travels outward, not just as warmth, but as story. Long before we gave it a name, Cancri E was already shining unseen, unacknowledged, whispering into the dark. Its light traveled for 40 years before it reached the eyes that would finally notice. Across the silence of space, photons crossed oceans of emptiness, carrying the quiet heartbeat of a diamond world no one had yet imagined. And then one night, on a distant blue planet, something looked back. In a lonely observatory on Earth, a telescope turned toward a faint glimmer near a modest yellow star. The reflection it caught was unlike anything recorded before. It wasn't steady, like a star's pulse, or dim like cosmic dust. It flickered, delicate, uncertain, but alive. For a moment, the data screens lit up, with a pattern too soft to ignore. It was as if the universe had exhaled, and in that breath, humanity heard its own name whispered back. No one knew what it was at first. The light seemed too bright, too warm, too constant to belong to something so far. It was not the kind of brightness that shouted. It shimmered as though polished by patience itself. And so the story began, not with discovery, but with wonder. Astronomers leaned closer, their hearts caught in the fragile rhythm of the flicker, their minds quiet with awe. The reflection they saw was not large or loud. It appeared as a soft gleam pulsing faintly against the dark canvas of the cosmos. It seemed to move, not because it spun, but because the light itself breathed. It was a rhythm too delicate for instruments, yet strong enough to reach across eternity. For the first time, we glimpsed the soul of Cancri into the world of fire and diamond that had been glowing unseen for eons. What they saw that night was not just light, but memory. The reflection carried the weight of its origin, heat pressed into brilliance, carbon turned into crystal silence, stretched into song. Each beam of light was a story older than Earth itself, each shimmer a word in a language we could not yet speak. The universe had been talking all along. We had only just learned how to listen. Slowly, as more telescopes joined the gaze, the flicker became clearer. The light was constant, but within its constancy was motion, a small variation, a breathing pattern that no one could quite explain. Some said it was a trick of perspective, others a signature of something real, something alive in its own way. The world we would call Cancri had revealed itself not through noise or movement, but through stillness that glowed. The news spread quietly, carried not by excitement, but by reverence. Scientists spoke of it softly, as if afraid to disturb the fragile peace of its light. Artists painted it as a burning jewel drifting in the sea of night. Poets wrote of a diamond that refused to fade. For a brief moment, Earth turned its collective gaze toward a single point of gold in the sky, a place where light had learned to live without shadow. And so, for the first time, there was connection between us and a world that could never know us, between our breath and its fire, between our fleeting lives and its endless endurance. The light that left Cancri long before our generation was born had finally arrived. It had waited across time, crossing silence only to find our eyes waiting for it. The meeting felt less like discovery and more like recognition, as though something ancient had finally remembered us. We called it the Burning Jewel, the Diamond Planet, names that felt poetic but incomplete. For what Cancri offered us was not a spectacle, but a reflection. When we saw its glow, we saw ourselves, small, fragile, burning in our own way, held together by light and gravity and longing. It was not the planet that was alive, but the understanding it awakened within us. Each observation became a conversation. Every time its reflection returned to us, it brought a slightly different shade of gold, a subtle change in rhythm. Scientists saw variations. Dreamers saw messages. Perhaps it was only data, but to many it felt like communication, a slow, patient whisper from a world that did not speak our language, yet still managed to say something. The idea that something so far away could reach us not with sound, but with presence stirred something deep within. It was humbling, the way silence can be when it suddenly reveals its depth. The thought that this world had been burning alone for billions of years, waiting for us to notice, filled the night with a strange tenderness. It was not loneliness we saw in that light, but endurance, the quiet proof that existence itself was enough. And so, Cancri E became more than a planet. It became a symbol of time, of beauty, of the bridge between seeing and being seen. It taught us that not every signal must be a call for attention. Some exist simply to remind us that we are part of something vast, that our eyes, when they look far enough, can find pieces of ourselves reflected in the fire of distant worlds. The light kept coming year after year, always the same, always different. Every time it reached us, it carried new questions, new silences, new wonder. The astronomers who first saw it grew older. The telescopes grew stronger. The light remained. And through it, we began to feel something rare. Not curiosity, but connection. The kind that requires no answer, no reply. One night, as the telescopes captured another faint pulse, a scientist watching alone whispered a thought into the dark. Maybe it's not sending a signal at all. Maybe it just wants to be seen. The words lingered, carried by the hum of the machines, by the still air of the observatory. Outside, the world turned quietly beneath the same stars. Cancri E shone on unchanged. The light it sent reached beyond our instruments, beyond our comprehension, touching the part of us that understands beauty without reason. It reminded us that existence can be enough to shine, to endure, to be noticed, once in an ocean of silence. On Earth, we have always chased the shimmer of permanence. We press carbon into diamonds and call them eternal, as though beauty could outlast time if we only hold it tightly enough. In every glittering stone, we see the illusion of forever, something unchanging, unbroken, immune to loss. But when the light of Cancri A reached us, traveling through 40 years of silence, it whispered a different truth. Eternity, it said, is not what endures. It is what burns completely in its moment. The diamond planet glows not because it wishes to last, but because it cannot help but shine. Its fire consumes itself endlessly, turning matter into light and light into calm. Each breath of heat, each flicker across its molten skin is a surrender, a willingness to be beautiful, even knowing that beauty is fragile. Watching it, humanity saw itself reflected our cities, our dreams, our moments of brilliance that fade as quickly as they appear. We build monuments and call them timeless. We write songs, carve stones, capture light in glass, and hope they will survive us. Yet Cancri E reminded us that survival is not the same as meaning. The planet burns every second of its existence, never resting, never holding anything back. It knows nothing of permanence, yet its radiance outlives the lives of stars. There is a kind of grace in that, to exist fully, even if only for a heartbeat of cosmic time. From observatories scattered across the earth, people stared at its faint light through glass and metal, and somehow the distance did not matter. The planet's glow crossed oceans, deserts, and the quiet spaces between hearts. It reached poets and physicists alike, stirring the same feeling, a strange ache, soft and wordless, that perhaps we too are made to burn brightly, not forever, but enough. In the quiet halls of observation, the scientists who studied its reflection began to speak of it differently. It was no longer just a planet. It was a lesson, a mirror held up by the universe, showing us what we already knew, but rarely accepted, that even the most brilliant things are meant to fade. The beauty of Cancri was not in its endurance, but in its willingness to disappear without regret. On our world, we craft diamonds to symbolize love, unbreakable, perfect, everlasting. But Cancri burns its diamonds into fire. Its love for light is not patient, it is fierce. It does not wait to be admired. It gives itself away, moment after moment, in a silence that humbles even the stars. The planet teaches us that eternity is not about being unchanging. It is about being unforgettable. In its glow, we began to see the fragility of our own brilliance. The skyscrapers that pierce the clouds, the lights of cities seen from orbit, the laughter shared beneath those lights, all of them temporary, all of them precious for that reason alone. We live short lives beneath an endless sky, but in our briefness lies our meaning. To love, to dream, to build, to fail, to do any of it with intensity is to burn as Cancri burns. Somewhere in the quiet of the cosmos, a world of diamond and fire taught us what it means to live. Not to last forever, but to give everything while we can. The planet does not hoard its light. It shares it freely with the void, knowing that most of it will never be seen. Yet still it shines. Perhaps that is what eternity really is, the act of continuing to give even when no one is watching. The more we learned about it, the more it changed the way we looked at ourselves. Cancri became a kind of compass, not pointing us outward, but inward. It reminded us that we too are made of the same carbon, the same dust, the same desire to become something more. We are built from the same paradox, fragile enough to shatter, strong enough to shine. In the end, the diamond planet became less of a discovery and more of a conversation, a dialogue between what we are and what we could be. The light it sent was not just data, it was a story told without words about the beauty of impermanence. Every reflection we captured was a reminder that the universe does not promise eternity. It promises only moments, and those moments, if lived completely, are enough. We realize that perhaps the point is not to survive, but to be seen to glow, to love, to leave behind warmth, even if it fades. The planet taught us that nothing truly vanishes. It only changes form. The light we see from Cancri tonight left before we were born, and someday, long after we are gone, it will still be traveling, carrying the memory of our gaze through the dark. We once believed diamonds were forever because they do not decay, but forever, as Cancri showed us, is not the absence of decay. It is the courage to shine completely while the light lasts. The planet's fire will one day cool, its glow will fade into darkness, and its story will drift into silence. Yet its memory will remain not in the stone, but in us, in the way it taught us to see our own fleeting lives as something luminous. Perhaps that is what the universe intended all along, that every star, every planet, every spark of light exists not to be worshipped, but to remind us that impermanence is not tragedy, it is truth, that what burns out still warms, that what ends still matters. Cancri burns still patient and alone, turning slowly around its golden star. Its glow continues to cross the dark, brushing past the eyes of those who seek it. And as long as someone looks, the light remains alive, not in the planet itself, but in the act of being seen. And when we turn our gaze from that distant fire back toward ourselves, we understand we too are reflections. Our hearts burn with the same carbon, our dreams rise with the same light. The difference is only in duration, not in essence. We are all brief flames in a quiet universe, learning how to shine before the dark returns. Far from every gaze, beyond the reach of curiosity and wonder, Cancri continues to glow. Its light moves through the dark, not as a cry for attention, but as a quiet act of being. No one watches, no one listens, and still it shines. In that solitude, the planet finds its truest self, a beauty that exists not to be admired, but to exist quietly, endlessly. There are no witnesses in the cold distance surrounding it, no eyes to measure its glow, no instruments to record its warmth. The light rises soft as breath fading into the void, like memory slipping through fingers. Yet the planet does not falter. It does not ask to be seen. It burns because burning is what it was born to do. Each shimmer across its molten surface feels like a conversation with nothingness, the fire speaking to the dark, and the dark, in its own way, listening. They do not need each other to change. They simply coexist. The light spills across space, absorbed by nothing, reflected by no one, but somehow it continues to move. This is beauty without an audience, music without sound, purpose without promise. The warmth of the star still touches it, but even that seems distant now. Cancri glows for itself, no longer bound by need, no longer defined by reflection. Its surface hums with quiet energy, steady as breath. The molten rivers move beneath the crust, slow and graceful, tracing the same paths they have followed for ages. The world does not pause to ask why it burns. It simply does. In a universe obsessed with observation, Cancri stands as the opposite, a reminder that some things are most alive when left unseen. It is the truth we forget too easily, that existence is not performance. The planet does not shine to be adored, just as the stars do not rise to be praised. They move because it is their nature to move. They glow because light once born does not know how to stop. If one could drift near it, the silence would feel sacred. The glow would not blind, it would comfort. The airless calm would press against the senses like a blanket heavy and infinite. You would realize then that beauty does not need to speak. It does not need to reach you. It only needs to be. And Cancri, this quiet, distant ember, is the purest expression of that truth. The fire here is ancient, but it does not rage. It is gentle, deliberate, patient. Each spark that rises from its molten heart carries the same message, a whisper that says, I am here even if no one looks. The light touches nothing and no one yet. It changes everything around it. The darkness that surrounds it seems softer, almost warmed by the quiet certainty of its glow. There is peace in its solitude. The planet does not envy the worlds that have oceans or skies. It does not crave the company of moons or the echo of life. Its silence is not loneliness, it is serenity. In its isolation, it becomes complete. To exist without needing to be needed, that is its strength. The light that leaves Cancri will travel for thousands of years before it meets anything solid enough to receive it. Most of it will fade, scattered by the endless black lost among the waves of space. But a small part will go on endlessly, a fragment of radiance, with no destination, no witness. And yet even that fragment carries meaning. It reminds the universe that beauty does not end where attention fades. Somewhere long after our own stars dim, that same light will still be moving quiet and constant across the nothingness. It will never know that once far away, someone looked at it and called it beautiful. It will never know that it was named or that its story was told. It will not remember being seen, but perhaps that is what makes it eternal. Because in the end, light does not need to be seen to be real. It does not need eyes to give it purpose. It exists because it cannot help but exist. Just as love continues in silence, just as memory lingers after words are forgotten, so too does Cancri continue to glow in the unseen corners of the cosmos. It is strange and somehow comforting that the universe holds such indifferent beauty. Things shine and no one watches. Things endure and no one knows. Yet every unseen act of existence still matters. The stars burn for billions of years without audience. The planets circle them in endless devotion. And though we see only a fraction of their light, the rest continues, patient, persistent, content to be unseen. Cancri reminds us that not all beauty is meant to be shared. Some simply is, like the warmth that stays in a room after someone has left, or the echo of a song remembered only by the heart. It continues quietly. The planet's glow is not a call, but a confession that being enough for oneself is the highest form of grace. The more we learn of it, the more it feels like a lesson written in fire that what is unseen can still hold meaning, that what is silent can still be alive. Perhaps the universe in its vastness needs such worlds, small reminders that existence is not always about recognition, that even in invisibility there is purpose. The fires of Cancri rise once more, their light spilling softly into the endless dark. There are no eyes to see, no instruments to record, and yet the moment feels infinite. The glow deepens soft as a sigh spreading outward until it fades into nothing. But even when the brightness disappears, it leaves behind something unseen, the trace of what once was the warmth of what still is. And in that invisible warmth lies a kind of eternity, not measured in time, but in presence. The planet will keep burning, keep glowing long after everything that once watched it has gone dark. It will continue quiet and complete its light, touching no one but itself. On Cancri, a single day is a brief whisper gone before it can be named. The planet turns so close to its golden star that time itself feels soft here, pliable, melting between the weight of fire and the pull of gravity. Hours stretch and collapse like liquid light. What begins as morning ends before the thought of it can form. The sun never truly rises, and it never truly sets. The world burns in a constant eternal twilight, where time folds back on itself like heat over glass. Every second here carries the weight of eternity. The airless stillness amplifies the illusion that nothing moves, that everything is frozen in a single glowing instant. But within that stillness, the light changes subtly, like a heartbeat made of gold. It shimmers across the molten surface, bending and twisting in slow waves. The horizon ripples, and for a moment, it feels as though the planet is breathing time in and exhaling light. If you could stand there, you might forget what a moment is. Minutes would dissolve before you could count them. Shadows would not fall. They would blur. The concept of before and after would lose meaning. There would only be now stretched so thin it becomes infinite. And within that infinite now, everything gleams, every ripple of fire, every trembling reflection, every sigh of heat rising into the silent sky. Time on Cancri does not pass, it melts. It flows down the surface like the molten rivers that never cool, slow and luminous, carrying the memory of each instant as it fades. The fire erases its own history, yet somehow preserves it in motion. Every shimmer of light contains all the moments that came before, folded within its glow. The planet exists inside that paradox to move, and yet remain to burn, and yet endure to end and begin at once. From the distance of space, the world seems calm. Its light flickers steadily soft, as a candle seen through glass. But beneath that serenity, everything is in motion, not fast, but relentless. The crust shifts, the heat rises, the surface bends. Even the light itself seems to change shape, bending around the edges of the planet, flowing back into itself like a loop. This is how Cancri keeps its rhythm, not through the ticking of time, but through the constant blending of moments. A day here lasts only a few hours, by our measure, yet within those hours eternity fits. The sun's warmth floods the surface with the same golden brilliance from which it cannot escape. There is no night to cool it, no darkness to divide its hours. The planet glows continuously, as though trapped inside a single, unending sunrise. Time caught between heat and light cannot decide which direction to flow. So, it lingers shimmering, refusing to end. The longer one looks, the more it feels as if the planet is dreaming. The molten rivers move like thoughts, slow, uncertain, luminous. The crust beneath them quivers softly, a pulse of heat deep below. The fire flickers at the same pace as the planet's own rhythm, as if it were remembering itself through each glow. Perhaps this is what it means for time to melt, not to vanish, but to dissolve into experience, leaving behind only the feeling of having been. On Earth, we mark time by movement, by rotation, by orbit, by change. But here, change and constancy are the same. The flow of fire replaces the ticking of clocks. The glow of heat replaces the color of days. Even decay feels eternal. It is not the passing of moments that defines Cancri, but the depth of each one. Every instant burns with the intensity of a lifetime, then disappears, replaced by another just as bright. Perhaps that is why its beauty feels so haunting. It exists in the in-between, not timeless, but time-saturated, a place where every second is heavy with existence, where each flicker of light contains the memory of its own ending. Watching it is like watching a dream in slow motion, where nothing truly happens, and yet everything feels complete. Time here is not cruel. It does not take, it transforms. Each moment dies only to return in another shape, a wave of heat, a reflection of gold, a ripple across a molten sea. The planet does not resist the melting of its hours. It surrenders, and in that surrender, it becomes whole. It accepts that every instant is fleeting, and that the beauty of fleetingness is what gives light its meaning. If one could listen to the rhythm of Cancri, it would not be a ticking, but a hum, the low eternal vibration of existence, unbound by minutes. The sound of a world that measures its life, not in time but in brightness. The heat expands and contracts, like breath marking the passage of moments that do not exist. It is not the absence of time, but its transformation into something softer, something endless. In this world, eternity is fragile. It is made not of years, but of seconds that refuse to fade. It is the glow that lingers after each pulse of heat, the shimmer that remains after each tremor ends. Even when the light dims, the warmth stays folded into the airless dark. Time itself becomes memory, the afterimage of fire that will not go out. Cancri teaches a quiet truth, that the value of a moment is not how long it lasts, but how fully it shines. The planet burns in the present, never looking back, never looking forward, only existing in the pure intensity of now. It does not worry about what came before or what will come after. It only glows. And in that glow lies a kind of peace that time cannot touch. For a world where every day is only a handful of hours, it has already lived 1,000 eternities. Each melted moment is a prayer to existence, brief, bright, and complete. Every flicker of light is a lifetime, every reflection, a memory already fading. And as the hours fold upon themselves, as the rivers of fire roll beneath the endless sun, Cancri A continues its quiet dream. Time flows through it like molten glass, and the planet becomes the shape of that flow, endless, luminous patient. Slowly, the light begins to fade. The golden glow that once spilled endlessly across the planet's molten face softens, dimming into a warm, dusky amber. The heat that danced through Cancri E's veins begins to settle, folding inward like a long exhale. The rivers of fire grow still their movements, slowing to a graceful pause. What once blazed like a sea of living flame now shimmers faintly, as if the planet were closing its eyes. There is no darkness here, not truly, only the quiet after brightness. The surface cools, but not completely. It keeps a faint memory of its glow, a soft red, beneath the crust, pulsing like a dream that refuses to end. The airless silence thickens tender and heavy. It feels less like death, more like rest, the slow unwinding of a world that has burned long enough to know the shape of calm. Deep within the planet, beneath layers of carbon hardened by ages of fire, the pulse continues. It is slower now, but steady. The core hums with the memory of heat pressing inward, shaping itself quietly. In that hidden heart, carbon folds and crystallizes, forming new structures, new lattices, new dreams. Each atom finds its place in silence. What once was molten now becomes clarity. The fire sleeps, but its heart learns how to shine differently. The world above remains motionless. Light drifts softly across its surface, lingering in the places where rivers once flowed. The star that once held it in its golden grip still burns nearby, but its light feels gentler, now filtered through the quiet, refracted by layers of diamond, cooling beneath the crust. The reflection that escapes into space has changed. It no longer burns. It glows. It no longer shouts. It breathes. It is the glow of something that has learned patience, of a world that no longer needs to prove its brilliance. The heat that once devoured now preserves. The fire that once consumed now dreams. This is not extinction, but transformation. The planet has simply chosen a softer rhythm. The fire becomes memory. The light becomes thought. From afar, Cancri A looks almost asleep. Its once blinding shimmer has faded into a dim, serene gleam, like the last coal in a long-forgotten hearth. Yet beneath that quiet shell, the story continues. In the hidden core, the carbon keeps working, folding itself into new forms, aligning, crystallizing. The diamond heart grows denser, purer. The dream refines itself in silence. The universe watches, as it always has, patient and wordless. The planet's faint light drifts outward, touching nothing disturbing, nothing but it endures. What was once fire is now reflection. What was once motion is now stillness. The balance between the two becomes a kind of grace, the soft poise of something that has found peace in its own slowness. There is a beauty in this cooling, a poetry in the act of letting go. The heat that defined Cancri E's existence begins to surrender to quiet, and the quiet in turn reveals another kind of life, the stillness after creation. The world no longer glows to be seen. It glows because the memory of its fire remains, because the heart beneath its crust continues to form itself in lightless calm. The star's warmth still reaches it, though more faintly now. The planet accepts it without reply, holding the warmth like a lullaby from a distant mother. The energy does not stir the old rivers. It simply seeps into the still surface and stays there, absorbed, cherished. Every bit of light that touches it becomes a part of it, captured forever in the slow crystallization of diamond within. The sleep of Cancri A is not the absence of life, but its transformation into something deeper, the kind of life that no longer needs to move or shine to exist. It has learned the art of continuation without motion of endurance, without noise. To rest, yet remain alive, that is its new rhythm. Sometimes, when the star flares softly in its distant sky, a flicker runs across the planet's surface as if it remembers. The light moves through the crust in faint veins, awakening echoes of its ancient glow. The planet seems to sigh its surface, pulsing once gently before returning to calm. It is as if the fire beneath has dreamed again for a moment, remembering what it felt like to burn. But the dream always fades, and the stillness returns. The warmth remains only in the core, now a quiet heartbeat of creation still at work. The planet no longer lives in flame but in memory, and memory here is enough. The crystallization continues slow and delicate. The diamond grows thicker, its structure more perfect. The fire has become clarity. The chaos has become order. Cancri, the once burning jewel, now rests as the quiet diamond of the universe, not gone, not forgotten, but transformed. Its light softer and deeper than before, carries a calm wisdom that to rest is not to end, and that even silence can be full of motion. The planet sleeps, but its dream continues, a dream made of light turned to form of fire, turned to thought. Somewhere in the depths of its heart, the carbon still whispers to itself, shaping, aligning, becoming. The pulse is faint, but it is there. It hums through layers of crystal and stone, a vibration too low to hear, too vast to stop. It is the sound of the universe, remembering how to create over and over again. The world may seem still, but within creation has not ceased. It has only slowed, softened, refined. The fire that once roared has found its peace in silence. But peace does not mean absence. It means continuation stretched across infinity. The planet sleeps, but the dream burns quietly beneath its surface, a secret it keeps for no one but itself. And when the universe looks upon it, if such a thing can be said, it feels a kind of tenderness. The diamond planet, no longer a flame, now glows with the beauty of stillness. It is not the fire of youth, but the calm of becoming. The story does not end here. It only deepens. There is no sound on Cancri E, no air to carry it, no wind to give it form. And yet something hums, soft, low, unbroken. It is not a sound the ear could hear, but one the universe can feel. Beneath the crust of diamond, through the molten layers that once roared with heat, a vibration travels slow, patient, eternal. It rises and falls like breath too deep, for silence too quiet, for song. The planet no longer burns as it once did, yet it still speaks, not through flame or motion, but through rhythm. Each pulse of its hidden heart sends a ripple outward, a subtle trembling that touches the fabric of the cosmos. It is the faintest whisper lighter than light itself, but the void receives it. For though there is no air, there is space, and space remembers. In that memory, the universe listens. It listens not with ears, but with light, every wave, every shimmer, every reflection, a note in the quietest symphony ever played. Cancri, a once the loudest flame, now becomes an instrument of stillness. Its glow is softer now, but more deliberate each flicker, like a single stroke on a cosmic string. The music it plays is not made of sound, but of existence steady, unwavering, pure. Sometimes the light that leaves the planet feels like a cord stretched across eternity. It moves through the black, bending around unseen gravity, echoing against distant stars. To those who watch from afar, it looks like shimmer, but to the universe, it is a language. Every wave of brightness is a word, every pulse a phrase, every reflection a memory retold. The soundless hum of Cancri becomes a kind of heartbeat for the emptiness. It does not cry out to be heard, it simply is. And in that quiet being, the universe listens deeply. The void that once seemed cold becomes tender, filled not with silence, but with presence. This is how the cosmos hears not through noise, but through the small vibrations that ripple when something simply continues to exist. Each faint shimmer that rises from the planet's surface carries a signature of time. It tells the story of heat, of pressure, of transformation, of fire, learning how to rest. The universe vast and still catches these fragments of light and folds them into itself, as though collecting notes from an ancient melody. And though no one can hear it, the echo exists, a tone too slow for the senses, too infinite for measure. It is said that sound needs a medium to travel, but the truth is simpler. Existence itself is the medium. Every motion, every flicker, every beam of light is a kind of sound translated into brightness. The stars hum in frequencies of fire. The planets sing in pulses of gravity. Cancri-E's glow, though faint, is one of these songs, an unending lullaby, played in the key of endurance. The longer it glows, the deeper the vibration seems to grow. The light softens into something almost tactile, like silk brushing through the dark. It moves slowly with the patience of time itself. It reaches out, touches the emptiness, and lingers, not seeking a response, but leaving a trace. The universe listens not because it must, but because it was made to. It absorbs every quiet note and turns it into memory. In this great listening, the boundaries between silence and sound disappear. There is only rhythm, the pulse of stars, the breath of worlds, the soft murmur of gravity, binding everything together. Cancri adds its tone to the chorus, subtle but essential. Its vibration hums between the low drum of dying suns and the high shimmer of distant galaxies. Together, they weave the texture of the cosmos, a song too vast to end. The planet does not know it is being heard. It glows without intention, its light spilling softly into infinity. But the universe notices everything, even the smallest shimmer, even the faintest exhale of warmth. It listens the way oceans listen to stones dropped into their depths, translating every ripple into meaning. The hum of Cancri becomes part of that meaning, another note in the quiet language of forever. There is peace in this exchange. The planet no longer reaches outward. The universe no longer waits for a call. They exist in harmony, one giving one, receiving both complete. The light that leaves Cancri will never return, but it doesn't need to. It has already been heard. already folded into the grand invisible song that keeps the stars turning. Sometimes the light curves back toward the planet, scattering across its surface like a soft echo. It glints along the diamond plains, faint as breath, before fading again into the void. The reflection feels like acknowledgement, the universe answering in its own quiet way. For what is listening, if not the echo that proves something has been heard? The fire that once consumed now plays softly like an instrument finding peace after centuries of performance. The glow no longer strains against darkness, it moves with it. The two have become inseparable sound, and silence, light and shadow, existence and emptiness, all blending into one quiet resonance. Cancri E has learned what all stars and planets eventually learn, that the universe does not need volume to understand. It hears in patience, in repetition, in endurance. It listens through light, and perhaps that is how all stories are remembered, not in the noise of their telling, but in the persistence of their glow. The light that leaves one world becomes the memory of another. The hum that fades here becomes a whisper elsewhere. The universe, endless and awake, gathers every shimmer and keeps it safe. Nothing truly vanishes. It only changes tone. The hum of Cancri A joins the quiet song of the cosmos, merging with the deep rhythm that carries galaxies across time. It is a note among countless others, small, patient, perfect. And though no one can hear it, the universe continues to listen. There is only one planet, one light, one endless orbit. Cancri E drifts around its star without a companion, no moon to circle it, no neighbor to share its silence. It moves through space like a thought that never finds an answer, tracing the same path again and again. Around it stretches eternity, vast and unbroken. In that still expanse, the planet glows quietly, a single ember floating through the dark. From afar, it seems peaceful. The golden warmth of its star brushes against its surface, and the light reflects back soft and steady. Yet beneath that calm, there is something deeper, a quiet ache that only solitude can hold. The world turns endlessly, but it turns alone. No voice calls its name, no other body echoes its rhythm. Still it keeps moving steady, as breath unbothered by the silence that surrounds it. Loneliness here is not sadness, it is simply the truth of being. The planet does not crave another to orbit beside it. It does not long for a reflection of itself. It has learned to find meaning in the endless space around it, to exist as its own witness. Its glow is both confession and comfort, a reminder that beauty can live without audience, that light does not need eyes to believe in its purpose. The universe watches without intention. Stars blink, comets drift, galaxies bloom and vanish, and still, Cancri E remains a small, unwavering flame circling its sun. It is neither noticed nor forgotten. It simply is. Its light falls into the void, scattering into infinity, perhaps never to touch anything again. Yet the planet glows all the same content to be a presence in the emptiness. There is grace in this isolation. Every rotation is an act of quiet endurance. Every reflection a soft declaration, I am here. In a cosmos filled with noise and creation, this lonely world whispers instead. Its silence becomes music, its stillness a form of prayer. The orbit continues circular and eternal, marking not time, but persistence, the rhythm of something that knows no other way to exist. The light of its star reaches out to it, always the same, always constant. The star does not judge, does not pity. It gives warmth, and the planet accepts it. Their bond is simple, a quiet dialogue between giver and receiver. No emotion, no longing, just continuity. Perhaps this is what love looks like in the language of stars, not passion, but presence. In its solitude, Cancri E reflects everything and belongs to nothing. The darkness that surrounds it is not cruel. It is vast, open, tender in its indifference. The planet shines into it with quiet faith, knowing that most of its light will never be seen. Still it glows. To exist without witness is the purest kind of existence. To endure without need is the most honest form of strength. Sometimes the reflection from its molten plains looks like tears, rivers of gold that never reach the edge. They flow, glimmer, and vanish again, caught in the pull of their own gravity. Perhaps the planet feels something then, though not in the way we understand. Perhaps its fire hums with a memory of connection, the echo of stars that once burned beside it before time pulled them apart. But if there is loneliness in that hum, it is a gentle one, the kind that teaches, not breaks, the kind that allows beauty to exist without expectation. Cancri E's solitude is not punishment. It is a form of peace. It has nothing to prove, nowhere to go. It simply turns glowing softly, carrying the warmth of its own light through the infinite dark. Its orbit never changes. The same path, the same rhythm, yet each moment is different. The angle of light shifts, the glow deepens or fades, small variations that no one will ever see. Still they happen, and that is enough. The planet's beauty lies not in its perfection, but in its persistence. Even alone it continues. Even unseen it shines. The star too continues its own quiet existence, unaware of how much of itself it gives away. The light that touches Cancri O will never return, yet the star does not withhold it. This too is part of the same truth, that giving and receiving need no reason, that the act of existing together, even apart, is its own form of harmony. From a distance they look like a pair, a golden sun and its solitary jewel. But up close, the space between them is immense. That emptiness, however, is what allows their dance to exist. The planet's loneliness gives its orbit meaning. The star's stillness gives its warmth direction. Between them lies the quiet poetry of distance, the reminder that even separation can be sacred. Perhaps that is why the planet never tires. Its solitude has become its strength. It knows that to be alone in eternity is not to be forgotten, but to belong entirely to the universe itself. Every shimmer of its light is a conversation with the void, one that needs no reply. Its beauty endures because it asks for nothing. And if one day the star fades, the planet will still hold the memory of its light glowing softly for a while before cooling into silence. Even then it will not mourn. Its purpose was never to last forever, only to burn fully while it could. In that brief radiance, it has already become eternal. The universe holds its breath around this lonely world. The stars nearby flicker faintly as if listening. In its stillness, Cancri E teaches them something, that loneliness is not the absence of love, but the presence of self. To glow alone is still to glow. To exist in silence is still to be heard. And so the planet continues its slow orbit, wrapped in its solitude, serene and shining. The dark around it remains vast but not empty. The light stretches onward, fading but faithful, carrying the echo of a single truth. Beauty does not need belief to be real. In the quiet expanse where Cancri A once shimmered, the golden star that gave it life begins to dim. Its warmth, once constant and tender, flickers, uncertainly, a heartbeat growing slow and tired. The light that once wrapped around the planet softens its edges, fading into shadow. What was once eternal now breathes its last radiance into the silence. The mother star, weary from its long burning, prepares to rest. And in its fading glow, the diamond world follows. The fire that once kept Cancri A alive begins to loosen its hold. The molten veins that pulsed beneath its surface cool the rivers of light, harden into glass. The diamond crust, once so bright, it rivaled the star's dulls under the weight of shadow. The glow that was its heartbeat slows until it is only memory. But there is no tragedy in this ending. There is only stillness, the kind that comes after a song has finished, when the final note still lingers in the air. As the star collapses inward, its light stretches, thins, and vanishes. For a moment, it flares one last breath of gold, and the entire system shines brighter than it ever has. The light touches Cancri one final time, wrapping it in warmth of farewell without words. Then slowly it fades. The star's fire goes out, and the world that orbited it is left in the dark. Cancri E drifts, silent and cooling its orbit, unraveling into nothing. Without the pull of its star, it begins to fall away, no longer tethered, no longer bound. The universe opens before it, vast and different, infinite. The diamond that once blazed with life becomes a cinder carried through the void. Its brilliance is gone, yet its essence remains. For even in darkness, carbon remembers the shape of light. Deep within its core, the last remnants of heat sigh softly, pressing outward as if reluctant to let go. The layers of diamond, once so strong, begin to fracture. Cracks form like delicate constellations across its surface. Piece by piece, the planet comes undone. But in that breaking, something beautiful happens. Each fragment catches what little light remains and scatters it, sending tiny flashes across the emptiness. Even in dissolution, it finds a way to shine. The star's death sends a slow wave across the space it once ruled. Dust rises from the bones of its planets, ashes of worlds, of moons, of stones that once carried fire. Cancri E2 becomes part of that dust. The diamond shards drift outward, weightless and glowing faintly. They join the cosmic wind, scattering like a river of embers, like a slow snowfall of light across the galaxy. This is how worlds end, not with destruction, but with release. The matter that once belonged to one place becomes part of another. The carbon that once burned in the heart of Cancri E will someday rest in the belly of a new star, or fold itself into another planet's soil, or perhaps, if the universe wills it, into something alive. There is no loss, only change, no death, only the quiet transformation of what has always been. The galaxy accepts these ashes without sorrow. The dust of Cancri A drifts through its arms, blending with the light of distant suns. Some of it glows faintly as it catches starlight. Some of it vanishes into the shadows between galaxies. Each grain carries a story of fire and stillness, of beauty and solitude, of a diamond that learned to sleep. And though the planet is gone, its memory moves through the stars, unbound by orbit or time. If one could follow the dust, one might see it weaving through cosmic clouds, joining others in silent dance. It swirls golden and dark, creating patterns too vast for eyes to see. In that dance, Cancri E becomes part of the great rhythm again, the endless cycle of burning and cooling, forming and dissolving. Its light, now scattered, becomes part of everything. It ceases to be a single point of beauty and becomes the fabric of beauty itself. Somewhere far away, a young star is forming. Around it, a new world will soon gather, piece by piece from dust that once belonged to ancient fires. Perhaps within that dust, a fragment of Cancri A will rest, a small shard of diamond buried in the soil of a new beginning. It will not remember its name, but the light within it will be the same. The universe does not forget, it only reshapes. There is something gentle in this endless exchange. The fire that once gave life now gives meaning. The diamond that once shone for itself now shines through countless others. In the end, nothing truly fades. The glow changes form, the warmth finds new homes. Cancri E's death is not an ending but a return, a dissolving into everything it once admired. As the last fragments of the planet drift away, they leave trails of faint light behind, like threads woven into the blackness. Each spark carries a whisper, "I was here." The universe listens, as it always does, folding the echo into its silence. The stars that remain continue to burn, unaware that within their glow lives the memory of a world long gone. Cancri E's ashes wander for eons, and yet they are never lost. In every diamond formed in the hearts of other worlds, in every reflection that glints off distant suns, there lies a hint of its former fire. Its legacy is not in what it was, but in what it becomes. The light has turned to ash, but the ash has become the seed of light again. And perhaps that is the greatest secret of the universe, that nothing ever truly ends. Every glow returns. Every silence holds the memory of a song. Cancri E has vanished, but its presence remains in everything that follows, in the breath of stars, in the shimmer of dust, in the quiet hum of light, finding new shapes to live in. The last glimmer of its essence fades into the void, soft as a sigh. The darkness deepens, but not emptily. It feels full, as though carrying the echo of a flame that refuses to die completely. The planet is gone, yet the universe still glows with its memory, a faint, eternal afterlight. In the quiet, dark Cancri, A releases its final breath, a shimmer too soft to see, too gentle to fade. The once blazing diamond world no longer burns. It glows faintly like memory, drifting through eternity. Its light scatters into golden dust, each particle carrying a trace of what it once was: warmth, brilliance, solitude, and grace. The dying star that once held it close exhales one last breath of fire, wrapping the planet in a final embrace before both dissolve into silence. Yet even as Cancri E disappears, it does not vanish. Its essence melts into the fabric of space, into the rhythm of starlight and time. The universe absorbs its glow, turning it into whispers of new beginnings, the birth of stars, the shimmer of nebulae, the quiet pulse of creation. Nothing is lost. Everything becomes. In that eternal stillness, the cosmos sleeps, holding within its vast heart the faint, lingering sparkle of the diamond that once burned brighter than silence. Cancri A's last breath drifts through the night, unseen but unending, a reminder that every end is only another form of light learning how to live again. And so, the story closes, not with a period, but with a breath. For in every grain of dust, every dream, every small soul that looks to the stars, the universe continues to tell its tale a tale with no beginning, no ending, only a whisper that echoes forever through the night I never left. I am only sleeping